Good morning and welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover of a auto sleeper Broadway. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first, opening the driver's door, you've got a gas 8 level indicator. So this will tell you the level of gas in your 25 litre underslung tank. And to make this work you need to start the engine, and it'll tell you with green lines from low to high how full your gas is. If it is low, it'll be red, and that means you will have to just go and refill the gas system. Using the square key, which is the try mark key here, you can open this locker here, which is, I like to call it the wet locker. So you can put your hooker bleeds in there, your hose pipes, your levelling ramps, anything that you don't want to trail into the van, you can put into there so that you're not carrying anything wet or dirty into the motorhome. This is your water filler. So to fill the vehicle with fresh water, you can fill it two ways. The most common way is using this hose pipe here. So it's got a fitting on it. It's not just a normal hose, it's a special hose. It's a whale hose pipe, this one. So it's got this block end connection on, which connects onto here, and this end which connects to your tap on site. And you've also got the screw on end there to connect it to the tap, so you can push the hose lock end on to your site's tap. Should you not want to move the vehicle, and once it's on site, your water level comes up low, or you can't get to a hose pipe, you've got another way of filling the water. As long as you have a container, such as an aqua roll, a bucket, you can put this end in. So this end, same end again, but on the other end, this is more like a caravan. You've got a submersible pump which you can drop into the water and connect this end onto the vehicle, and that'll suck the water out of the drum or container into the freshwater tank. Here you have a external TV point, so TV aerial and 12 volt. To empty your fresh water, so should you be winterising it, part it up for the winter where you want to make sure all the water's out of the van, or if you are just not using it for a couple of weeks, you can let the water out, and that is the blue tap here. So you take the cover off the tap, turn the tap and let the water drain out. We always recommend that that's left open in the winter to avoid the water freezing in the freshwater tank. Boiler flue, so this is the flue for the boiler, for the Truma boiler. The flue only works when on gas, but the heating system does work on both electric and gas. Just make sure that's always obstruction free, and then to hook the vehicle up, you'd get your hookup lead, lift the collar, slide the hookup lead on to the vehicle first, then the sight, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so that you're never walking around with a live lead. But when you also unhook, there's a small blue clip you need to push down with your thumb as you're pulling the hookup lead off the vehicle. Fridge vent, microwave vent. Another tap just before we get onto the cassette, which is a grey tap. This is your dirty water, so this is anything that you've put down a plug hole. On the way out of your site, if you're not on a fully serviced pitch, if you're on a super pitch, what you could do is you could go to your local plumbing merchants and get a hose that fits onto here and put the pipe to the back of the site into the gully and leave this open all the time. But if you're not on one of them types of pitches, normally when it indicates on the control panel that it's full, you drive your vehicle to the gully on the ground, crank the tap open and allow this out. You don't want to be driving around with this water on, because it's just added weight for no reason. It's going to affect your payload and it's going to affect the consumption of fuel. So you're going to get worse miles per gallon carrying dirty water than you are carrying it empty. So get rid of it, and it means you can put more bits and pieces on board the vehicle and you're better on fuel. Make sure that's fully drained off in the winter as well to avoid that from freezing. Using the habitation key, which is the round-headed key, and it's got fit on it so you can't go wrong. Push these in And on this toilet, it's a different toilet. It's got a separate header tank. So this is the header tank. What the header tank does is, it's your flush tank. So your flush isn't plumbed from the freshwater tank, it's a separate tank. So what I would do is carry a jug or a small watering can, fill it up with water. So just pop your water in and then pop the pink liquid, pop so much pink liquid in, and then this is your level indicator here down the side. So this will go pink and you'll see where it's at, and when you flush a toilet, that's where the water's coming from. It's not coming from the freshwater tank. So if you ever flush it and you get no water, it could be empty, but you do just fill it. And if you look here now, at the top, you might think that's full. It's not full. You just need to push the water in and it'll push it into the tank, and the level indicator will go up. So that's not full. You just need to keep feeding it with water and it will fill itself. Underneath the cassette, when the cassette indicates that it's full on the toilet, it's time to take it out. So to take it out, lift the green handle, slide the cassette out. You can either carry it or you can wheel it to your disposal site, which is normally beside your toilet block, shower block on site. And to empty, remove the green cap on the top, pop that to one side, start to pour it down the disposal point and press the green button at the back. Once you've pressed the green button, when you're pouring it, it will just allow a bit of air in, give it a consistent flow, stop it glugging. Once you've emptied it, there's normally a tap, so you'd put some water in, put the cap back on, give it a rinse, tip out again, before going in with a cap full of chemical, which is 120 ml. So this could be either blue or green. Ask your site which they prefer, because sometimes they want the green now, as it's more environmentally friendly for their septic tanks than the blue dye is. And then once you've got the liquid in, you can push it back in to the vehicle. Coming round the back of the vehicle, high level brake light, reversing camera. This vehicle has a back box fitted to it, so the back box sits on a bike rack, and what you can do is this is just for added storage. So in here you can put bits and pieces in, such as folded deck chairs, stuff like that. This, I'll tell you what this is for. This helps you fill the header tank. So it's like a little funnel, and you can pop that on the top and it helps you fill it. So what we'll do is we'll leave that in here. So getting back to the Ultra box, you've got storage in there. You've also got a winding handle. But if you wanted to remove this, it's only clamped through the bottom and the sides. So just remove those, and you've got two bike rails underneath. So if you wanted to put bike racks back on the van, it is set up for bike rails. The rails are there, the arms are there. So you just need to take the box off, put your bikes on, and away you go. With it having the Ultra box on as well, it does have a trailer board on. So the trailer board is connected to the tone electrics of the vehicle. So when you turn, it sounds like you've got a caravan on the back, because the indicator makes a different tone, just to let you know that it's on there. And that's connected through there. So on the vehicle, you do have a 7. So on the vehicle, it's a 13 pin, and then it does have an adapter taking it down to 7, but the vehicle is 13. So should you want to put a tow bar on it, you can, because it's already got the tone electrics. Come around at this side, you've got your fuel Omnistar awning, which we can show you on collection. Your awning light. With it being an auto sleeper, it does have 2 ways of filling the water. So you can use the ones I've shown you, or if you want to get a conventional hose, you can put your conventional hose into here. Flat end of the hose goes into here and you can fill it there. But to be fair, it's up to you which way you want to fill it. You've got two hose pipes there which come with the vehicle, a hose and a pump. You might just want to use it that way instead of carrying an additional hose, because that would be three hoses to fill the water. But if you wanted to fill it at home and you didn't want to connect it and you wanted to use your garden hose, you can just stick it in there. LPG. So LPG on this vehicle, it's a 25 litre underslung tank. It doesn't take a bottle. You can fill this from your local LPG centre, or if you're going to travel abroad with it, there's loads of them abroad, and near enough at every station. So it's a lot easier to find LPG abroad than it is a colour gas bottle. So to fill it, remove the cap. It's a bayonet fitting. You get the filler. It's like a gun. Slides in there, and then you need to turn the front of it. Once you've turned the front of it to lock it on, you need to pull the trigger back. The trigger then pressurises the fitting, and then you would press and hold the display button. There's a little green or black button, sometimes it's red. You just press and hold it until it stops filling. Normally a tank like this from empty takes around 25–26 pounds to fill. And obviously the indication on the dashboard when you start the engine will tell you how full your gas is. External main socket, so if you wanted power in the awning, you can do. Storage, obviously there your carpet's in there, that's underneath your lounge seat. LPG, so this is a external gas barbecue point. So if you wanted to cook on a Caddock or external barbecue, you can have it outside. You'll need a couple of meters of orange gas hosing and two Jubilee clips to connect the Caddock to the Jubilee clip on the Caddock and the Jubilee clip onto this fitting here. So there's a fitting here. This needs to be cut off just to keep it safe from the factory. They like to cable tie them on so it doesn't look like it's ever being used. Take that off. This end fits in here. That beveled end fits onto your pipe, and your Jubilee clip would go around there. Once that's in and connected, you can then turn on the gas tap to allow the gas from the tank to come to the external barbecue. Fuel is here, so it opens with the main Peugeot Boxer key, and then because it's a new styled engine, it does take AdBlue, which is 19 litres on a Fiat and Peugeot Boxer. So what you can do is, between the temperature and the fuel gauge, there's a little light. It looks like an exhaust light. When that comes on, it means your AdBlue's low. You can buy it in the drums, or you can buy it on the pump now. It's about 145, 150 a litre, depending on where you go. And you can buy it anywhere. So even if you want to fill it on the pump, you can, or if you want to keep a couple of drums in the garage or one on board the vehicle in the back box, when the light comes on, you can just top that up. But depending on how many miles you do, 5,500 miles is the full capacity of the 19 litres. At 4,500 miles once you've covered, you'll normally get the light, and it'll give you about 1,500 to 1,000 mile countdown. 5 bar on the front, which is your tyre pressures, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 bar on the back, which is 79.5. Your weight plates here, so 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, train weight of 5,100, so 5.1 ton. Should you want to put a tow bar on, the motorhome and whatever you're towing can't exceed that. Toolkit, which gives you a jack and a brace and a tow and eye. These red handles here, you push them down and you can turn the seat round. You may have to adjust the driving position, which is the bar at the front, so if you've got to pull it forward to get it all the way around, you may have to. Engine battery lives underneath the cab floor, again with it being a Peugeot Boxer, Fiat Ducato. They are both underneath the floor, so if you ever need to replenish the battery or want to put a charger on it, you can do just by lifting the cover, but the bonnet release is here. And under here you've got all your fluids to the left hand side, which is underneath the drivers. So screen wash, This lifts off and you can fill your power steering fluid, your coolant and your brake fluid. And then to jumpstart, oil filler and dipstick for checking the levels. To jumpstart the vehicle, this is an earth and air filter here. Key or something flat into this cover here and lift up. This is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start, and your paint code, which is 210, blank or white, can be found here. So once on board the vehicle, above the habitation door, you do have your 12-volt control panel. So if you're hooked up, you'll get this little electricity symbol here, which means you are hooked up. And as you can see on the top of the panel, it's telling you your external temperature and your internal temperature. To turn the 12-volt system on, which is your 12-volt of your leisure battery, it's this button here on the top left-hand side. So that turns the vehicle off and on. If you're hooked up, you'll get mains 230-volt power. If you're not, you will just only have 12-volt. Underneath it, you have the pump, so you can turn the pump on, which pressurizes the taps, toilet and shower supply of water to those outlets. Without the pump on, you'll just get whatever's left in the lines and it will just fade away. But make sure that you have enough water on board before turning the pump on. This side, you've got your master switch for your lights, which are all then individually switched around the vehicle. You've got your awning light on the outside of the van. So your awning light turns on your entrance light on the inside and the light on the outside of the vehicle. You can't turn that off by turning this off. This side you've got your fresh water reading, so this is your water levels. So you've got 50% of fresh on board and 0 waste. Battery levels, so power levels, so you've got your leisure battery and your vehicle battery charge. Take the hookup out because at the minute there's currently 7.4 amps coming into the vehicle off mains hookup, and there's currently 3.7 amps being used. So that's what's being drawn off the active battery, which is always your leisure. You always want that to say leisure. If that ever says vehicle, you want to change it because the vehicle battery is only designed to be used for the engine. It's not designed to be the auxiliary battery. Screen will go blank, just touch it. This is your power transfer button, so this will now use your vehicle battery to power the motorhome. You do not want that unless it's in an emergency and you've run out of charging your leisure battery while camping and you just need it for 10 minutes or so. But I was always make sure that says L. Battery L is the leisure battery, the one that was designed to power the motorhome. And in the bottom right hand corner you do have your settings. So you can active battery, you always want that to be the leisure battery because that's the battery that the power's being drawn off for the motorhome, which the leisure battery was designed to be that battery, so make sure that says leisure. And then the solar select battery is currently showing battery V, which is the vehicle battery. So the solar, when the vehicle's unhooked, the solar charge is going directly to the vehicle battery. When the vehicle is hooked up, the solar panel does not work as mains 230 volt is a lot higher ampage than a solar panel could ever provide. But what you could do is you could put it onto what's known as Smart, and what Smart does, it analyses both batteries, and should the leisure battery go lower than the vehicle battery, it will switch over by itself or vice versa. So it means that you don't have to do anything, you just leave it on Smart and it will analyse and kick the charge to which battery which needs it. Your automatic tank fill needs to be turned on to fill your tank, and then you do have, so just leave that as it is. You've got your tank heater, so you've got your fresh and your waste. So depending on if it's going to freeze overnight, so it's more if you're away in the winter, you can put these on and it'll stop the water from freezing in the tanks below the van. Lighting settings, screen settings, date and time for when the clocks go back and forth. Heating temperature settings, which is all controlled through your Truma iNet ready control panel, which I'll get into in a moment. So I'll insert a video on how that works after this clip. But that is your main auto sleeper control panel. I'll now show you how to operate your iNet Truma heating and hot water panel. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, to turn the system on and off, you press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on and it'll come on, and then to get into the menu you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be, I'd press enter, and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water, this is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, so make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2, will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1, and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site, unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner, so eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off, just the once though. Clock in the middle, and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold and it'll say off, and it'll completely turn itself off. So now in the kitchen, as long as the pump's on, you'll be able to open the tap and get a pressurized flow of water, and you'll hear the pump in the background's kicked in. That water's there starting to get up to temperature. You've got a draining rack that clips on here, so it can be removed, and it just clip onto there. One electric hot plate on mains 230 volt, so it has to be hooked up for this one to work, otherwise you can use gas. So that's your electric hot plate there on the left hand side. There you have your 3 gas burners lit. Allow them to cool so that they're cool enough before you put your glass lid down, otherwise you can shatter it with the heat if it's too hot. And underneath is where you'll find your grill, and under the grill you've got your oven. Should you need any parts for your Fetfit oven, there's a sticker just located here with the model number on, so if you need anything for it, that's where you'll be asked to supply us with that sticker for the information. And underneath you've got some storage along with the wheel arch in there as well. Opening cutlery drawer, some storage in there with the gas isolation tap for the oven and hob there, so it just tells you that it's on at the moment. You would just turn it the other way to close it off should there be a problem with the oven. But what you can do is you can turn it off should you need to isolate the gas from the gas tank, or you can turn the gas tank off itself, but that's underneath the vehicle. So what I would probably do is, if I was boarding a ferry or something, I would just turn the taps off, make sure everything's isolated so no gas can come from the tank into the vehicle, and that's good enough for you to board the ferry. Otherwise you'll be getting caught crawling underneath the van, taking the casing off the tank and turning the cock stop on the tank. Storage up here, there's a draining board. As your heating system is iNet ready, here is your iNet box. So you can put a SIM card in here and connect to it, so you can text it remotely through the app to turn on your heating and turn on your water remotely from when you're away from the vehicle, so that when you do come back from the pub you've got enough hot water for a shower. This side, cups and plate rack holders, wine glasses, wine bottle holders, and a TV status TV aerial. So if the signal was a problem, this would go for, this is saying it's green, so it's good. If it was orange or red, red means you've got a poor, really poor signal. Orange means that you have got a signal, but it could be improved. So try amplifying it first here. But if it doesn't amplify, you may need to reposition the aerial on the roof, which is located in the back wardrobe. Russell Hobbs 800 watt microwave, and to turn your microwave on, there's a little switch here, so it's not on all the time. You turn it on, use it, and you can knock it off. Two 230 volt sockets and a USB, and some good worktop space. Storage. And you do have a bit of worktop extension, so if you're cooking something and you need your chopping board beside you or a pan, you can take things off and put it here, as you've got that little bit extra worktop space. So to operate your Fetfit fridge, to turn it on and off, it's a square button on the left hand corner. So you can press and hold to turn it off, and that's it off. Press and hold to turn it on. You'll notice A stays lit up and there's a picture of a hookup lead, which means that it's on mains 230 volt. A stands for automatic energy selection, so it's an automatic selection fridge. So if I just left it on there now and went and unhooked the vehicle, so if I pulled the power out, it would switch over to gas because there's gas on board. If I was to then start the vehicle's engine, it would switch over the battery setting, which isn't off the leisure battery, it's only off when the vehicle is physically running. It's a feed designed for when you're travelling that'll just keep it like a giant cool box and keep it at the temperature it was previously at before departing until you arrive on your site and you either reconnect the mains or you switch it on to gas. Should you need to manually change it over though, what you can do is if you press the square button, you'll see that the A's disappeared and it's on mains. Press it again, it's on battery and it's flashing because it's failed because the engine's not running. So loss of 12 volt is code 6. Or if you click again, you're on gas. What I would do is I would just leave it on automatic. The only time you'll have to turn it off automatic is if you are wild camping. For the first 20 minutes when you turn your engine off, it won't switch over to gas. This is a safety feature in case you've left your gas supply on. It's just in case you've pulled into a petrol station. The last thing you want to do is for this to be sparking where there's fumes for petrol when you're trying to fill up with diesel. So it waits 20 minutes before lighting on gas on automatic. So you just need to change it over if you were going wild camping for that first 20 minutes, then change it back. Here you do have your temperature, so 1 bar being the warmest and 5 bars being the coldest. Large storage space with pull down drawer for the freezer compartment. One thing I would say when not using the van is if you take everything out, give it a wipe out with some antibacterial sprays or wipes, and then what you want to do is you want to leave the door ajar, so you can either put something in the way of the door to stop it from closing, or if you lift the handle up, you've got a little grey toggle which clips into here, and that'll stop the door from closing, and it just allows air to circulate in and out to allow ventilation to stop funny smells and bacteria from forming in the fridge. So in the washroom, which is across the back of the vehicle on the Broadway, you do have your bench styled Thetford toilet. So to use the toilet, there's a blue button here which is your flush. So before use, it's always best that you put a little bit of water in. Just helps lubricate the seal between the top of the cassette and the blade. And then open the blade. This is the white handle here is the blade handle. So you'd open that up, use the toilet. Once you've used the toilet, give it a flush. And then you would close the blade. Do it in this order, otherwise if you leave this open and you go to pull the cassette out the side of the van, it won't come out because the cassette is engaged in the mechanism of the bottom of the toilet, so you can't pull that out. When the cassette is full, you'll get a light on here to say that it's full, so it's time to change it. Take it out, give it a rinse and top it back up with chemical. Lights, so you can turn them on and off with just a finger. Toiletry cabinet, toilet roll holder. In here you do have your freestanding table leg and tabletop, along with your wardrobe, hanging rail and your TV aerial. So like I was saying about your TV aerial further down in the video, if you need to adjust it, if you loosen the nut off, push it up, tighten and use the toggle to direct the aerial on the roof, making sure that it is always pulled back in and tightened before you start travelling, because if you leave the aerial up, the wind could snap the pole on the aerial if it's too windy. So make sure that's always down in the travel position. Underneath the wardrobe you do have 3 drawers for storage. Underneath your sink you've got a large toiletry cabinet. Push the plug in on the sink. That is your hot water there, warm, so that is really hot water. So your hot water system is working as it should on the vehicle. Hanging rail, so you've got a dryer there which comes out and it is stored all away. And this side you do have your shower. On the light you can turn it on, but always turn on the extractor as well, making sure that your shower screens are tied back before you travel. You don't use any harsh chemicals to wash this out, no bleaches, just fairy up liquid or a microfiber with some light sprays, nothing harsh because you'll damage the finish on the plastics. And always make sure in the winter that you just unscrew your shower head from the hose, because if you see there's a loop in there, any water could sit in there and potentially freeze. So if you took the shower head off and lay that hose down and make sure all that the mixer taps throughout the van are left open, you'll never get any water left in any pipes. So fitted on this vehicle is an Avtex television, which stores away into the cupboard when not in use and travelling, and then you can bring it out on the TV arm. But every time you move locations, you need to retune your TV, otherwise it will not get a signal. And you do so on the remote. You've got a tune button which says AQT on it, and it's orange, you can't miss it. So if you just press and hold it, it'll come up country UK, just press OK, and it'll start doing auto channel search and find as many channels as it can in your area. So what I would do is just leave it to search. You'll probably get halfway without it picking a signal up, and then all of a sudden it'll bring in a load of channels. So don't panic, it is tuning, but that's just standard for the Avtex telly. They get to 40% with nothing found, and then they'll start to pick up channels. So in the front lounge, to make the bed up, what I've done first of all is I've removed the side panels with the padded arms and the bolster cushions, and then all you need to do is lift and slide the bed frame out to infill the space, and then use the backrests, which you can use here. But what I like to do is I like to turn everything upside down, because you get a flatter surface to sleep on. So I would advise doing that with the main cushion as well. Pop that in there, and there you've got your double bed. So you can put a fitted flat sheet on here and put your duvet on, and it's a full-size double bed. So now underneath the bench seat behind the driver's seat, this is the location of where your boiler lives on board. So your boiler does two jobs. It provides hot air through the various parts of the vehicle, and it also holds 10 litres of water in here at any one time. So it's very important that in the winter you allow the water out. And to do so, there's a valve here. This is a anti-frost valve. It's a Truma anti-frost valve. And what it does is, when the vehicle reaches 3 degrees or less when it's not in use, there's a button just down here where my finger is, which would pop out. You see it, little blue button just there? That will pop out, and that means the vehicle has detected that it's 3 degrees or less, and it's draining the 10 litres of water. So all that's doing is it's dropping the water out the boiler. But never 100% rely on it in case it becomes faulty over the time of the vehicle's lifespan. So what I would do is always come to the vehicle, make sure if the button's popped out, then just turn the diamond on the top, or if you want to drain it yourself, turn the diamond. You'll see that the button's popped out. To stop this, turn the diamond back and push the button in, and that has shut the boiler off. So when you come to reuse it, just make sure you've shut it back so you can fill the vehicle with water, because if that was to be left open and you put water back in the vehicle and turn the pump on, it will just pump it straight back out underneath the van. But that needs to be left open to avoid the water from freezing in the boiler over the winter and causing any damage, because unfortunately frost damage isn't covered by our warranty. It's your responsibility as the consumer to drain the vehicle down of water. So it would be draining the boiler off, open all the taps, remove the shower head, turn the pump on for 10 seconds and then turn it off once you've allowed all the water out of the van, just to blow any water that's in any pipelines or in the pump itself out of the vehicle. And then outside the van, just open the fresh and the waste, which you'd probably do first before you come into the vehicle and go through the taps, the boiler and the pump. So that's that. You've got a gas tap down there for the boiler and the fridge if you need to isolate the supply of gas to those items. You've got your 3-stage switch mode battery charger, which obviously charges the leisure battery when hooked up, and you've got your leisure battery here. So your leisure battery is concealed in this box. Should you ever need to change it, you can just remove it. But you do have a main 20 amp breaker fuse just on here, so if you do need to have any problems with the battery, check that this fuse hasn't blown. Located just down here is the EM40 interface. So these are the fuses that cross over between the Peugeot base vehicle and the auto sleeper motorhome. So you've got such as your marker lights, your tone lights and power, your fridge. You've got 2 fridge fuses there, and your vehicle battery. So if your vehicle battery wasn't reading on the control panel, it's probably a fuse, which will be that one. These 2 are for your fridge. Middle ones are for your towing lights, and this one is for your orange fuses around your orange marker lights, even around the vehicle on the outside. In the lounge, you've got individual switched reading lights, so you can turn them on and off as long as the main 12-volt power panel's on and the light circuit is on for these lights. But what also is special about these lights, you can remove them and take them off and move them down the rail. So say they were too far, you are sitting here reading a book and you wanted 2 lights on, great. Then you want to move it back up here and put them in either corner, you can. So they're removable on the rail, or you can take them off and put 3 or 4 that side, it's up to you. But they are removable because the rail has got power running right through the rail for those reading lights.